Good morning, Reptilians. Welcome and welcome back to the channel. I'm Elle, and this is Elle's Reptiles. This week we're doing another video in the series that we've been doing lately of different places to get reptile supplies that are more inexpensive than just pet stores. So we have already done Dollar Tree and thrift stores. Today we're going to be looking at hardware stores. We went to Home Depot for this video because we were able to find almost everything I was looking for there. But this applies to Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, other hardware stores that exist. Hardware stores are, in my opinion, the #1 best place to get most reptile supplies. Obviously, they're not going to have tanks, but they have supplies to build tanks and a bunch of other stuff that you are about to see. Before we get started, this video is sponsored by the Doobie Dude, so make sure to stay until the end of the video to find out how you can save 10% off of your entire order at thedoobiedoo.com. Let's get started. So first and foremost, they don't sell tanks here, but they do sell lots of supplies to make your own tank if you're interested in doing that. Obviously, they have an entire lumber section. They also usually have pressed boards, and sometimes they have PVC. They have glass, they have plexiglass, they have screens, screen tops, metal screen. They have all of the things to help you make those tanks or make tank stands. And if you go the bin route, they also have a whole bunch of bins. So, I mean, I guess they kind of do sell tanks. Those bins are also fantastic to transport animals in or put them in while you give them baths. Just throwing that out there. On to what's in the tank, substrates. This is where I get all my substrates. I am, at this point, using basically always this topsoil and sand, this play sand. This substrate is fantastic. This is the best alternative, in my opinion, to pet store substrates, because at pet stores, you're going to spend about $20 for a bag about half the size. This bag is $3. It's just a fantastic deal. Also, for those substrates, you have moss. They sell moss here. They did not have sphagnum moss this time, but I did get a giant bag of sphagnum moss from them before, but they do sell a whole bunch of different kinds of moss here. Also, speaking of flooring, tiles. Obviously, hardware stores are going to have tiles, but usually they have a clearance section where they have tile that there's only a couple of them left, or they are chipped or whatever, and they're super cheap. As you can see, these are super low prices. Honestly, hardware store clearance sections like this, a lot of times you can find tile cheaper than you can at thrift stores. Lights. They sell lights. This is a huge one because dome lights at pet stores are pretty expensive, but you can actually usually find them very cheap at hardware stores. Mine did not have any, at least not that I could find. If they had them, I don't know where they are, but online they have them. They also will sell UV light holders and even grow lights for your plants. I don't know if this is much cheaper, especially the grow lights, than online. I just bought these grow lights for this tank that I just did last week's video, and they're working fantastic. They were only $16 for 2 panels. So I don't know how much cheaper this is, but the UV light fixtures and the dome lights should definitely be cheaper. Of course, this is where I get all of these supplies to do my DIY backgrounds. If I'm not ordering a big order from Josh's Frogs, this is where I go, or if I just need extra. Here they have the spray foam needed. They have silicone. They have spray adhesives. If you want to do dry lock backgrounds, they sell all of those things here. They also have the foam boards and grout. This is what we use to make our DIY hides or to fill grout in for tile flooring. DIY hides. I have used these PVC pipes multiple times to make DIY hides. Ben has used them to make fake bamboo spikes, branches, tubes. He has used them. Super cheap, super easy to do. The only downside to this is if you are using the thick PVC, you do have to have a way to cut that, so you have to have a saw or something like that. But luckily, hardware stores sell all that too if you want to go all out. They also sometimes in the plant section have these things. These could totally be used as hides. I bought something very similar to this from Josh's Frogs, which is a hide for my cave gecko. This is just a hanging version of that. These things are so cool. Electrical components. So if you need extension cords or power strips, things like that, Home Depot or hardware store has them. A lot of times they also will have timer switches too, a lot cheaper than the $20-something you're going to pay at pet stores for their brand of them. They have them here. I get asked so often where I get my rack systems from. This is the answer. Home Depot. Home Depot has very inexpensive racks, and these racks are made to hold a lot of weight because they are made to hold tools, toolboxes. A lot of them are rated for over 1,000 pounds. They will hold a lot of weight. They will definitely hold your tanks. There's a couple different kinds here. I've actually used both of these. These really big heavy duty ones are fantastic, but I've also used this wire one. I still currently use this wire one. It has never bowed. It's fantastic. It's wonderful. Plants, every single one of these that we talk about plants. Hardware stores have whole plant sections. They have whole garden centers. Make sure that you are Googling, is this plant safe for reptiles when you're looking at these plants? Huge pro tip here. If you are getting plants from hardware stores, make sure to quarantine them away from all your other plants, away from your animals for a couple of weeks before you put them into your tank. I like to do this by taking all the soil out, putting new eco earth or new topsoil or whatever into the pot and then setting them aside. Normally nothing comes of this, but for the first time ever, I did this. I bought an alocasia, one of those plants, and 2 days after I bought this plant, it exploded with spider mites. You might have seen this post on Instagram or on TikTok. Please make sure to quarantine your plants. That would have been real bad in a tank. But on the less scary side, I like to buy these giant pothos and giant philodendron and just separate them out because you're paying $20 for this huge pot. There's a lot of plant in this plant. And the last thing we're gonna talk about is these little pools. This is enrichment. I talked about this in my cheap free enrichment video a little while ago. You just put a little bit of water in it and you can let your animals out in the sun and let them walk around in water if your animals like water. If they don't like water, obviously don't do this. Or you can just not put water in it and have a safe, enclosed environment for your reptiles to be out in the sun, playing in the sun. And that is it. That is all for this video. Lots of wonderful stuff at cheap prices. Some of the things I wasn't able to find, but that's okay. Usually they have it, or other hardware stores or home goods stores will have them. They always have websites too. You can always order online, and usually they have free ship to store. So that's cool. As I said at the beginning of this video is sponsored by the Dubia Dude. The Dubia Dude is an awesome place to get dubia roaches for your pet reptiles. Dubia roaches are fantastic. I thoroughly enjoy them. I have a whole little bin of them sitting over here. They are super nutritious. They are more filling than crickets. They don't stink, and they don't climb out and escape from the container, and they don't
jump out of the container and escape into the room when you're trying to get them into the
containers for your animals. They're my favorite feeders to feed to my animals. Make sure if you are going to order from thedubiadude.com and support this small business that you use code Elle to save 10% off of your entire order. Thank you, as always, so much to the Dubia Dude for sponsoring this video. As always, if you have not already, please feel free to follow me on my other socials, like, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications every single time I put out a new video, which is every Sunday and some Wednesdays. This week's Instagram shoutout is here, and this week's subscriber shoutout is here. Thank you so much for liking and following and commenting and subscribing and sharing and all that jazz. You are the bee's knees. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye. All right, actually, that needs to. Okay, ooh, you can see all the stuff everywhere. Sorry about all this trash in the background. Speaking of electrical opponents. So electrical, I get asked so much about, all right, that'll be good. Anything else can be voiced over. Work on my posture.